There. I am Mark Newton, the guy on this side, apparently. I'm the head of brand strategy at Hallam.
And my name's Chris. I am creative lead also at Hallam. I'm going to assume the press this is going to be a slides of it, isn't it?
There you go.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, and as Gareth said, our talk today is called Skin in the Game, how creativity lives and dies with people and not the platform. Which way am I talking to this? That way. Sweet. Okay. So, I mean, start off like, what is creativity when we're talking about marketing? You know, creativity is it's expression. It's something that we use to inspire audiences. It's something that we can excite them with new ideas, and it is to some degrees an art form. But specifically in terms of marketing and in B2B, we're not talking about art strictly. It still has to have purpose. It has to solve a problem.
Oh, hang on. There we go. Gone from some really nice sculpture to a really cold, hard table. But this is the reality of creativity and what it does for a business. Some of you may have recognized this graph before, but this is Paul Dyson's, quite famous in some circles, advertising profitability analysis. But what this means is when you're putting adverts out there into the world, unless you are a huge brand where you are part of culture, people know who you are, they've heard the name already. The next best thing you can do to increase your profitability of your ads is the quality of your creative. But look how much of a multiplier it is beyond other things as well. So that's something you can really influence when it comes to your marketing activities. What about B2B? Well, 62% of B2B buyers increasingly perceive many brands as indistinct. They don't know who you are. Basically, you're getting muddled up with everyone else in your industry. That means your ad spend has to work an awful lot harder, 3 times, in fact, as the ones who are really distinct brands. They stand out. And there you go. Like, it's not just about being noticed. Your perception of a brand changes because of the quality of creative. So these are pretty big data points, but I'm going to get a little bit wanky for a moment, excuse me, but brandir is an old Norse word. Brand is really, really old. I think we forget this in the modern age. We assume all of this stuff is new. That's an old Norse word. It literally means to firebrand something. And from that, we get the modern version of the word brand. But this stuff goes back even further. Symbols. We use symbols to communicate. These are some examples of some of the forms you may see on but are found on cave paintings or cave artwork, symbols. It's not really painting in this case. This is 75,000 years old. In fact, the oldest found symbol was found on the inside of a mussel shell in Java. I only found this up last night looking at, there's a paper in Nature about 10 years ago. It was 500,000 years old. That predates Homo sapiens. We're only 300,000 years old. Today, we're still using symbols in exactly the same way. We call them distinctive assets. We're a little bit arrogant because we're modern now. We like to use fancy words. We can measure the impact of these things. But it's the same shit, different millennium. These are the same principles. We're trying to communicate and transmit value and meaning through symbols. This is what creativity is about. So the work has always been about people.
And quite often when it comes to the work, we get a bit obsessed with output because we love measuring things because it's a great way to determine how much effort we've put in, how much value has come from that effort, how effective our efforts have been. We'd like to think that, especially in creative, at some point if we get involved in something like maybe here, and then red line goes up, and then everyone in the boardroom is very happy. We do these nice presentations, and everyone's very impressed with that work, and that's all well and good and great. But it's really hard to measure creative as an output. Often when people think of creative, they think of this bit here, but it's really, the human element of creative involves a lot of strategy, a lot of direction, and at the end, production. So this, the making of things, yes, that is part of creative, but, we cannot negate the first 2 phases of this. So a lot of the time in creative, especially this year, especially last year, very much get the question of can we not use AI to speed this type of stuff up, right? Yeah, we can, and it's mostly for production stuff. And it's super powerful and super exciting. The way the visual production of ideas is now democratized is fantastic. But we have to remember that there's 2 very important bits over here that cannot be missed out, and you shouldn't really rely on AI for those bits. Because essentially, when using large language models, and even the most fancy of systems, we're talking about averages of language, talking about averages of ideas, averages of content, and going back to differentiation, we don't want to be over here where no one notices us, where no one can tell us apart. We want to be over here where our audience can clearly determine who we are. We've got a personality that is set apart from our competitors. People understand that. So, we're talking about differentiation a lot. What does that mean in terms of how we're creative? We really aim for authenticity over automation. So, not skipping the strategy work, making sure that we're being authentic and communicating who we are to our audience. Speaking to the experience that audience has and, declaring who you are, or in the case, helping our clients declare who they are and who they are not for. You can't be for everybody. And if you're for everybody, you're kind of for nobody, right? Because again, it's really important that when we come to creative and we get involved at this point, we want to make sure we make this way up. Like that's gonna mean like maybe we get a pay rise at the end of the year or a bonus or something, right? So the most important thing. So like how do we do that?
So this is kind of a case for I suppose, what the work actually is. What is creative work? Well, it kind of begins here with strategy. It doesn't come out of a magic box. And this is quite important because who here has created or used in the past website personas? Put your hands up. Yeah, we made shit up, didn't we? We did it. It's complete fantasy. So we don't want to be doing that. We want meaningful insights based on humans and their behavior. Because you've got to look this man in the eye, or it could be a woman, equally as stern, and you've got to justify every decision you make. You've got to persuade them about the impact of creativity. Human connections are part of the work. It's persuasion, but it also is based on people. So marketing is based on the market, and the market is made up of people. It really is that simple. And people are very, very complex. Not to go all Adam Curtis for a moment, but we are not logical people. We do not behave in a logical way. We are emotional. We are irrational. I don't know if anyone's ever looked at those emotion wheels diagrams that you can see. And it's just like dozens and dozens of things that people are feeling and thinking at every point during the day. So first of all, speak to people. I mean, actually, out of interest, how many people here do customer research and speak with their customers? Okay, well done. Well done, you lot. Shame the rest. Well, not shame the rest of you. That's pretty harsh. But it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to get the time to go and speak to people. So market orientation, how much are you focused on the customer? And when you speak to people, oh no, we've gone way forward now. Here we go. Let's go back. Let's go back. I'm blaming technology here. Why doesn't it go back? You go back. I've skipped Bill Murray, I know. Here we go. Marketing is based on the market. Is your clicker work? Yes. Okay. We're going to have to do a COVID. Next slide, please. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. So once you do market orientation and you're speaking to people, you can start to build behavioral segmentation. This is one of the oldest quotes in sort of modern marketing, sort of from the 1960s, 70s, 80s, about when you are doing brand strategy or marketing strategy. It's really about getting behavioral segments, group those segments together, and then choose where the money is from those different segments. Targeting, segmentation, targeting, position is one of the foundations of modern marketing, but it's built on people's behavior. Bill Murray, we'll have to just spend a moment looking at him, and why not? For relaxing times, make it Suntory times. Moments. That is a moment. The drinks industry is very big on marketing to moments. They're called category entry points. They are behavioral buying triggers. This is one of the foundations for some of our work. It's really easy to do it at a basic level, and you can do it in a much more sophisticated way. But you're looking for the sort of things that bring people into the game. Category entry points exist with or without your brand. It's quite a humbling thing to remember. They're contextual. It's not demographic. You're thinking about Friday night wind down or not a particular demographic. You're filtering for a moment. So some of these are, well, they're all behavioral. And you can do this. These are some examples that you might get in the B2B world. You start to see, maybe even just looking at these, you can start to think of marketing messages or creative ideas to address those things. But when you speak to people, you get these really cool bits of insight. So this is one of the easy things you can do. Category entry points, triggers that spark category thinking, moments, not personas. building blocks of mental availability. And that is the cornerstone of creativity and advertising. We're trying to build memory structures at the moments that people enter your category. Because this is just a few very quick examples that when you speak to people, when you structure your thinking around people and their behaviors, they provide the best insights for creativity, and it helps set up that man over there.
So yeah, once you've done all of that work, you've found out what the category entry points are, you understand your audience, their behaviors, their emotions, the pain points, things that they are aspiring to. We take all of that good work for research and strategy, and then we start to problem solve that creatively. Which basically means we articulate all the answers or pose questions from all of that insight. This is the part where we're talking about direction. Again, we're still not at the bit where we think like a lot of AI stuff can help us the most. And I'm sure you've seen loads of people say this, like, oh, it's about taste. You've got to have the human element into it. And like, you can't outsource your taste. I'm like, what is your taste? It's not me turning up here and naming one of my favorite albums or that I listen to jazz or something and being like really like falling over people wisdom because I'm creative. Not that at all. Taste is informed by your lived experience, and that counts as, experience in your job, experience knowing your clients, experience knowing your field of work. And, it's shaped by your understanding of culture, and it's steered by your gut, that gut reaction feeling that we're trying to shape and nurture when it comes to using creative work in marketing. And if you lean on platforms for direction, it just kind of like takes you straight to the answer, which on, one hand you think, yeah, that's fantastic. I'm saving this time, get straight to the answer. But it's not a good thing. Because it's not really about going from A to B, because this looks great, right? Straight line, fastest way, excellent, awesome, efficient. But really, this is kind of what the creative process looks like. It's very messy and very hard to navigate and kind of stressful. So how do we navigate that? We start by crying in the shower until the deadline comes, and that's usually when we come up with something good. But we actually do have a framework, and I know if there are already people who've worked in creative, know someone who works in creative, especially like probably UX, might see this and think, oh shit, it's got a double diamond out. Fucking hell. This is a bit nonsense. But it's really just to stress the idea of divergent and convergent thinking. There are multiple points where we interrogate the brief. So to start off with, interrogate the brief, and we discover, everything about the client, do a bit of an immersion, and try and figure out like what's going on with that, and go all the way through this first diamond. And divergent thinking, what I mean by that is, a session or like multiple sessions where you and the team, or just you, if you're really brave and try and tackle it on your own, that's probably when you cry in the shower. No bad ideas. You go for quantity over quality. And this idea of what if, like you don't trash any idea. If you modify an idea, it's like, great, yeah, we can do that. But what if we do this? And you like try and cast the net with why it's humanly possible. And then you come back to the brief and you kind of interrogate the solutions against that. And that's when we go into convergent thinking, which is to edit ruthlessly. Anything that doesn't work, check it against the brief. Is it meeting expectations? Is it going to hit the targets that we need? This is where we go quality over quantity. And then when we get those ideas that we know are going to work, how do we build on them? It's approval. And so yes, and like, how do we build this to further meet the needs of what we're trying to achieve with this project? And that is where really leaning on platforms to get straight to the answer is a bad thing, because every decide, that's terrible English. Every decision to pivot or turn gives you a little branch that you can fly off at and go in a different direction. You will miss all of this stuff going straight to the answer. Many of the best ideas we've had that Hallam in the creative team have come from like ridiculous tangents. 45 minutes into a meeting or something is never the first thing. And you miss all of this if you outsource your thinking. So if you do outsource your direction to a platform, it means you miss it all. And that's what all the good stuff is. If we should listen to anybody, we should probably listen to Bjork, right, on creativity. She's absolutely mad. We have to bring soul to things made by AI. And like all the monumental things mankind has done, we can do it. We're absolutely not saying do not use AI, but it's imperative to put your taste, your judgment, your spin, your opinion into the work. For example, we did a project with workbooks last year, the year before, I think it was. They came to us with a problem. They had an idea that they'd like to solve, of how to solve that problem. We said, sure, we'll work that out for you. It was centered around this idea of being the underdog, because they are smaller out of their group of competitors, and they really want to highlight how they're punching up and doing much bigger, better things than the larger CRMs. And we worked that up, and it kind of works, right? Like, small but mighty, really clever copy. We've used these very clever AI platforms to get this Jack Russell mascot guy in, and it's all very good and cutesy. I mean, oh man, we've got him wearing glasses. It's getting pretty crazy now. But we went back to the brief after we completed that and thought, before we speak to the client, let's just make sure we're not missing anything here. So they said, okay, we want to be the honest, believable voice in the market. Who does not believe a Jack Russell? Sweet, tick, all good. It can be more fun and not overly serious, like a B2C approach. We're a people business, not a corporate giant. Jack Russell, also not corporate. Awesome. We want to be different to our competitors. Okay, they haven't got any Jack Russells. We're happy to be controversial. This is something that, after putting briefs and things and getting summaries into AI platforms, we did not get out of our AI of choice. So, first eyebrow raised there, really controversial. And then we asked them, what exactly makes you different? And they said, we are no frills, we are no BS. We just have one clear path to actionable results. So we were like, okay, let's present something else that kind of fixes this too. So we went kind of off the deep end, and we're like, well, maybe you're about this no bullshit thing. Maybe we're going to try and get a bull, and maybe we're going to try and put it in your office, and it's going to get really weird. Maybe it's just hearing over a divider at you. And the client was, yeah, this is fantastic. How do we get a bull in our office? And immediately we all shut up and thought, there's no way we can get a bull in an office. But that's at which point we go, back to figuring out how exactly do we make this work. And that's how we came to the campaign of the No BS CRM with workbooks. We engaged with Dimension 2, one of our partners, brainstorming how we can film an ad, how can we do this properly with real people, not just AI and everything. And it resulted in, please play, yes, this.
Jeff, top 10 sales report split by region. Let me check. Okay.
I love that. And yeah, filming that was fantastic. Like, we had photographers on set, we shot still images, we turned it into a direct out of home campaign where we targeted the largest transport hubs where we knew their clients would travel through for a certain period of time. And a lot of people still saw these ads, right? And I don't know how we attribute this, but I'm pretty sure if she ever buys a CRM, that's fucking ours, man. That's not surely. So yeah, maybe it's less than around in 15 years. Like, just look out. So how do we do that, right? Like, it's all well and good getting an air cannon to fire what was actually pesto nuts and grass at someone's face at very high speed. But the reason it works is because we're addressing the genuine pain points of their audience, and we're emphasizing authenticity because they themselves told us we are the no bullshit guys, right? And we found that to be true in all of our conversations with them. And we're leveraging humor to differentiate them and achieve cut through in a CRM market, which traditionally, in terms of marketing, is pretty dry. So the impact was it had 77 million impressions across a 90-day campaign, a 33% increase in organic Google search impressions. And the client reported this to us, so I'm not going to vouch for its accuracy, but a pretty impressive stat of a 143% increase in UK pipeline value as a result. So as you can see, this type of approach, it does work.
We are very pro-human, very pro-creativity. We sound a bit anti-AI, but we're not. We're not this guy. We're not anti-AI. There we go. We're not yelling at the clouds. We accept this is part of our cultural fate at the moment. But I think there are some really good examples where AI is very good. This is a really good hack, by the way. If you get your frontline sales call transcripts and your CRM data going by about 3 years, you put that into an AI and you ask questions about behavioral segmentation, you'll get some amazing stuff. You can start to using qualitative data, using quantitative data. This is the kind of thing AI is really, really good for. It's very powerful at this because you're dealing with language at the end of the day. Very, very good insights that you're probably just sitting on and you don't necessarily think that they'd be quite useful. Interview analysis. What did people do without call transcripts? I have no idea. So AI is really, really useful. And Chris, on your side?
Yeah, when it comes to creative, like absolutely not trying to do everything myself. And the rate of delivery for teams now is so impressive. You can like development of concept visuals has exploded. Like as you saw with the really weird ball, like trying to Photoshop that type of stuff in a deadline, nightmare. We're trying to Photoshop a ball you can get into an office. And then, when it comes to creation, we can ramp creation of assets. We can ramp things up and be much quicker as well. That's where an efficiency gain really is worthwhile. And on top of that, building custom tooling for clients. Things that can support campaigns. You can vibe code certain applications now that was previously the domain of huge agencies with huge development teams. That's accessible to us now. So very exciting stuff. Where it isn't very good is, that human element. Like we need to understand and discover the things about the client, the project, the audience. We need to feed in that direction that's fueled by our taste, by our knowledge. And it's not very good at nuance either. These little bits and bobs that we really need to pay more attention to. It can't do this bit here. If it can't do this bit here, then it definitely can't cry in the shower because I've done that and AI isn't in there. So which sort of say you're going to miss all these little bits, like all of these little ideas that come along the way in terms of ideating on creative. Which is what basically say that the tools are there to help you do the work, make us more efficient and make the work better. They are not there to do the work for you, unfortunately.
So if you are going to lean into your tools, if you do have that boss who is saying, we don't need this, we don't need that, just put it in ChatGPT or whatever your platform of choice is, there is a backlash. People really respond negatively to seeing imagery out there that is obviously AI. It's kind of weird to have seen this happen so quickly and so powerfully. I'm not quite sure what's causing it, whether people just have this really weird reaction to it or whether they just think it's cheap and untrustworthy. You see it in all kinds of industries, all kinds of spheres of modern life. Did anyone see Donald Trump make himself look like Jesus the other day?
I've stocked them.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, of course he was. Don't make your CEO look like Jesus. It's not going to be cool. Which is, to summarize, outsourcing directions to a platform means you miss the best ideas because humans, not platforms, provide the best insights for creativity. Because, as we talked about at the very start, the work has always been about and is always for people. Thank you.